Hello. Hey, Janine, the first one on. Hello. I'm gonna tap and wave, and there we have Mike Daikubara. Hello. We've got more people coming on. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. This is USkTalks. It is midnight in Hong Kong. It is 5 p.m. in London. It is, I think, 9 a.m. in LA, and it's 2 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. Is there anybody from Australia who's on the show? If you are, please say hi. Rohit Kulkarni, I recognize you. Mario, hey, so many people I recognize. So good to see you guys. Welcome. USkTalks. We are on, as you know, every Sunday, 4 p.m. GMT. And we have quite a show ready for you. How are you? I'm good, and I hope you guys are too. Okay, so I'm Rob, your host, Rob Sketcherman. I'm coming to you from Hong Kong. And today I thought I would start with a little introduction because not everybody knows who this is. Oh, we've got lots of our guests already on the show. That's already. Hi, I see Gail from Seattle. Hi. Okay, so my name's Rob, and I am an urban sketcher, of course. I started urban sketching in 2014, and I joined Urban Sketchers Hong Kong in early 2014, and I have not looked back. And I think some of you have been on the feed, and you've seen a whole lot of sketches that we've been sharing about Hong Kong and all that. We'll be getting into that later on in the show. But I just wanted to tell you that if you have been sharing the sketching breakthroughs, one of the breakthroughs for me definitely was joining Urban Sketchers, because it is an amazing community, right? I think you all get that, and just looking at all those hearts that are coming up just gives me all the warm and fuzzies. From Brazil, hello. Anybody from Australia? I'm just wondering, I think it's hello, Patty. I know it is the same time. It is midnight in Perth, but it is 2 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. So I don't know whether any of you are joining in. I hope to see some of you. It'd be awesome. Okay, so I'm an iPad Urban Sketcher. And so some of you have asked me on DMs and all that, do you use anything else? No, I only use the iPad. I've been using only iPad for 6-7 years now, since 2013. And I love it, but this is not the iPad show, so I'm not going to go on and on about why I love it. I just wanted to tell you that we've got somebody from New Zealand, Red Velvet Me, Colombia, the Netherlands, and Taiwan. So good to see all of you. Hey, Matt. Hi, Dana. How are you? Okay, so coming back to iPad sketching, some of the stuff you see here, this is all done on my iPad. And if you're wondering, like, oh, poor guy, he's got an iPad. I know a lot of you are attached to your sketchbooks. So what I've done is sometimes I also print out some of my sketchbooks. This is one of my earlier iPad pieces. And it's an awesome thing. If you have any questions, hello from Singapore. If you have any questions, you can always DM me. But we're going to get on with the show because there's a lot to talk about, and we have some really exciting guests. If you've seen the promos, you know who they're from. Hello, Suida. Yes, from my second home, California. I love LA, love California. Italy sketches too, Minnesota. Oh, wow. Janie Seabird from South Africa. Whoa, I'm seeing all the hearts. Like I said, all the woms and fuzzies. Okay, so amazing thing about this community, I'm sure that some of you have also realized from looking at the feed and Urban Sketchers and when you're on Instagram, you've noticed that there has been a kind of a virtual symposium going on. And a lot of you know that Hong Kong was supposed to host the USK Symposium, the Urban Sketcher Symposium, here this past week. Today would have been the day where everybody just relaxes after the workshops are done. I just want to see also a show of hands. How many of you have been to a symposium at some point? Just put a hand up or give me a bunch of hearts if you have been to a symposium before. And if you haven't, don't worry about it. There's plenty to catch up with. I just wanted to say also that my first Urban Sketcher Symposium was in 2015. I went to Singapore, and it was an amazing thing for me. It was a game changer. And if you've never been, it's why are people so excited about it? It's because you're immersed in this sketching environment with people who share that passion with you. And if you've been reading the sketching breakthroughs, I mean, I've been reading and it's been such a highlight for me the past few days to listen to how people have been, how they started, what was an amazing moment for them. It could be a little thing, it could be a big thing, but for me, yeah, definitely attending a symposium has also been pretty awesome. So, one of my first guests, the first guest, and it's gonna be ladies first, is actually from Hong Kong as well. And if you've seen the promo poster, let me bring up the promo poster. We actually have a few more graphics for you. And if you have just joined us, I can see the numbers ticking up. Hello, welcome. This is USkTalks. And this is our show for today. We are talking about the Hong Kong connection. And if you're wondering, like, okay, it sounds like a mystery thriller or something like that, maybe at some point in the show we're going to get it more interesting. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the USK Sketch with Hong Kong thing also that's been happening over the past 3 days. Today is the last day, but it is still 9 a.m. on the west coast of the US, so you still have time to post, and we'll be looking through and enjoying all the stuff that people have been sharing. So one of the first things I wanted to say is thank you all so much for participating. It's been so moving for me and for the local team, for the Hong Kong Sketchers, to go on to Urban Sketchers and see so many people posting and talking about when they last visited, what they enjoyed and all that. And if you haven't been to Hong Kong before, no worries, because at some point I hope that we'll get a chance to host. And even if you can't make it for a symposium, if you come to Hong Kong, I encourage you to get in touch and we'll have a sketch walk, we'll go sketching, we'll show you some good stuff, we'll have some dim sum. You cannot come to Hong Kong without having some dim sum. Okay. So our first guest today is Vanessa Leung. She is one of the administrators for Urban Sketchers Hong Kong, just like me. There are 7 of us. She's one of them. And we're going to have this lovely lady on. Yes, we're trying to share the screen because I don't like being alone. So we can start talking about the Hong Kong connection. And there she is. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello.
How are you? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you're looking good. You're looking good,
thank
and
you. I'm so excited to be here.
yeah, so excited. I'm excited here too. But you know what? We're going to. I'm just going to take that graphic off just a second. Oh. Yes, I have this graphic also because last week there were lots of people who were like, oh, I'm not sure how do I find you and all that. Well, I just realized that my giant head is blocking the tags.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, get on the Urban Sketchers feed. Then you can find the tags for all these sketchers and the guests. And yes, let's get that out of the way and let's get on with the show.
Yeah, I saw many friends here. Hi.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, hello, Sandy. Sandy's also, she just disappeared in the feed, but she's also one of the Urban Sketchers administrators. We have such a great team here. And today I wanted to introduce a little bit of Cantonese also, because one of the things that we're trying to do is to bring in some local languages into the show. I mean, we're such a diverse crowd, right? So I thought, Vanessa, that we could start our conversation by explaining what choi sui means.
Oh,
because
the direct translation in English is blow water. Right?
Yes,
yeah.
Blow water, which sounds like such a crazy thing. But yes, we are going to blow water and we are going to have some fun because, let's see, because I think if we were meeting up in Hong Kong, we would be meeting in a place called a cha tan tan. Now, blow water means to shoot the breeze, to chat, to converse.
Yeah.
So it's choi sui. Yeah. The other thing about
we just like just speak out whatever we like to speak.
Yeah, it's a very casual chat.
Yes, casual chat.
And for those of you who are not aware, in Hong Kong, we speak Cantonese. So there are actually 9 tones. There are 9 tones in Cantonese. So it's extremely musical. It's like a roller coaster. So it's choi, sorry. It's like
It's
a
so
roller
funny
coaster.
that
Choi,
you're
sorry.
teaching people how to speak Cantonese.
Yeah, yes. I mean, Vanessa's teasing me because my
Yeah,
Cantonese is really
we
not very
we
good,
love
but
to hear you speak Cantonese.
yeah, well,
When we are having our
yeah,
meetings all the time, well, uh, we love to hear Rob speaking Cantonese because all the other symposium team group in Hong Kong, we're Cantonese speaker, and
yes.
sometimes Rob will get lost in some of our conversation while
Oh, I can see
we are
Sandy
blowing
laughing
water.
already. Yeah, I mean, I grew up speaking English, so if you're wondering, like, what is it? How come you don't speak Cantonese? That's why. Okay, so the other word that we'd like to teach you because when you come, we will take you to such a place is cha chan tang.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cha chan
Tan,
tang,
tan.
right? Right?
Yes,
Right.
ta, tan,
Okay.
tan. Yes, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
so please explain to everyone what a cha chan tang is.
Oh, it's somewhere that you can have the local foods. Oh yeah, you got the
Yes,
sketch there.
I'm putting up a
Yes,
graphic. Yes.
yes. It's
Yes.
somewhere that you can have local foods, and mainly I think the most Tatantan opens only in the morning until like say before dinner. So for Hong Kong people, we like going there for our breakfast and
Yes.
for lunch, and they are usually relatively cheap, and you can just have very simple food. But the most um oh, I lost the word.
Iconic.
The thing that you need to try most in
Yes.
Tatantan is the hot milk tea, which is
Yes.
different from the normal milk tea you have in like Europe, England. It's a relatively thick tea, and
Hmm.
it's really good. And I think
Oh,
everyone should try it. And also the bolo bao,
yes.
the pineapple bun,
Yes.
the bolo bao,
Yes. Yes.
and
It's
and so
so funny, but bolo bao actually translates to pineapple
pineapple
bun.
bun, but
Yes.
it's actually
There is no.
there's no pineapple in it. It's just
Yes.
I think they do it because the way they looks like the pineapple, the, the crust of it, but
Mhm.
there's no pineapple in it, and we just
Yeah.
call it ball bao pineapple
Yes.
bun. So when you
Yeah.
go into Tatantan, the thing you need to say is 伊奶茶 ball bao. That's it.
So
I
you
think that's
lied.
something that you need to
Yeah.
try.
I mean, there are many words, but if you pick it up, then these are all like I would consider these survival tactics when you come to Hong Kong. So
Yes.
you will choi soy with friends. You will
Mm-hmm.
sit in a cha chan tang, which is like the little graphic up there. It's like a little stall somewhere on the side of the street, or not they're not always on the street, but there are little places where you can just hang out and chill out with friends, and you will have a lai cha, which is a milk tea. It is thickened with condensed milk.
Yes.
So it's
And
actually like,
so actually I got a picture
oh,
here,
a picture.
and
Yes.
sometimes they served it in these kind of mugs, uh, which is very thick. It's
Yeah.
not like those nice tea set that you usually got in Britain. It's very thick, and the reason why
Yeah.
is that when they wash it, then they are so rude. The people in Thailand are so rude, so they throw it around. So they have really thick
Yeah.
mug that
So
is
that it's sturdy
more durable.
and tough. Yes, tough.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, these are some of the things that we just wanted to intrigue you a little bit so you have an idea. Uma says, food sketching friends, what's not to like?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And when you come, we will take you for dim sum. And then we'll all sit
Yes.
around the table and we'll share
And the
sketch
dim
notes,
sum.
chat.
See?
Dim sum.
That's the dim
Yes.
sum.
And I mean, from the some people around the world, like, oh, we get them here, we get the I'll tell you, but some it's not as good as supermarket frozen that we keep in our supermarket. You have try. Thank you so much for as long as just a little ease to know what's in store for you. Okay, Vanessa, we're going to get a little bit more serious for a little while now.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm just looking at all those coming for dim sum. Yes. Okay, so to the viewing audience, if you've just joined us, thank you for tuning in. This is Vanessa. We're on USkTalks. We're talking to Vanessa from Hong Kong, and I wanted specifically to bring Vanessa on the show as well because Vanessa has been an integral part of the organizing team in trying to put the Hong Kong Symposium together. So I thought it'd be really good to bring her on board just to give you an idea what it's been like for us on this side. So Vanessa, I mean, we all talked. There was 7 of us in that organizing team. And we decided, okay, this is the idea, the vision that we have for the symposium. And of course, I mean, it's very tempting to make it very big, but I thought it'd be interesting for everyone to have just an idea. Ciao from Firenze. Hi. Okay. Sorry, getting distracted. But Vanessa, could you tell us maybe, because you were in charge of some really important things, what did you find were some of the real challenges in organizing the symposium in Hong Kong?
Now, actually, I've been to 3 symposiums and they were all very, very, very good. I love them so much. And I found that the best is that all the places we sketch are really walkable to the venue. And the venue is very important. So I think the greatest challenge, first of all, for us is to find a suitable venue in Hong Kong. And you know, Hong Kong is relatively very expensive, you know, renting a place, and to accommodate such a large group, we need to find a place, but we also got to think about the budget. And also another thing is that we need to think about where to sketch. There are lots of places very interesting in Hong Kong to sketch. And I remember that we were all gather in Rob's place, and then we look at the TV and we have the Google Earth in front of us with Hong Kong, and then we zoom into places and we were like brainstorming where to bring people to sketch. We want to bring you all to sketch a lot of places in Hong Kong. There's so much to sketch, but they are like spreading in a lot of areas, and we need to think about the transportation, the logistics. So getting a venue which is in the center and which allows people to have a wide variety of places to sketch within 15 minutes walk is a challenge. And I think, well, eventually we got one. We did get one, and we were very, very pleased with that place. I don't want to disclose more information to you guys, but
yes, because at some point it'll all work out. And we don't want to spoil the surprise.
Yes, but I'm sure when you come, I'm sure everybody will be very pleased with that. You can get the views, and also you can walk to Ta Tan Tang. You can walk to a lot of other interesting temples, you know, markets. Yes, there are lots to sketch there.
Yeah, we've got plenty planned for you guys when it works out. But I'm sure everyone's aware also that we in early November last year, we had to unfortunately tell the whole world that we had to cancel. And I think many of you know why, because there have been things happening in Hong Kong before this whole virus thing. And because of the whole virus thing right now with the global pandemic, I mean, even if we were to go ahead, we would have had to cancel anyway. But before that, we had issues with political unrest in Hong Kong. There were a lot of protests going on and all that. And Vanessa, we were out with a whole bunch of sketchers and drawing all over. Maybe you'd like to share some of your experience. What was it like then?
Oh, actually, the protests were very, I must say that in the beginning, they were very, very peaceful. I'm sure a lot of people know that, and there were like 100 million people coming out, and then 200 million people coming out.
1 million.
1 million. Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Sorry,
1
my
million and 2
figures,
million.
you know, I only know how to sketch. My calculations and doing with all those numbers is, I need to count the
No
zeros. I
problem.
still need to count. Anyway,
Yeah, no problem,
I
no problem.
one
We
of
totally
the
understand.
most I remember during one of the I mean protests, the peaceful one, I
Mhm.
come across, oh yes, that one, that one. This is actually taken. I drew this nearby your home.
Oh, right.
Yes, on a
Yes, yes,
bridge, on a
right.
bridge, looking down. And
Hmm.
and there's one at one point I passed by a group of singers,
Wow.
and they were singing one of my favorite songs.
Mhm.
I love the Les Miserables, and they were singing the
I'll hold it up to you.
yes. Do you
You tell the
hear the
story.
people sing? And this was I got so touched, and I need to draw them, but you know I'm not good at drawing people. I only know how to draw, you know, buildings
Looks pretty good to
and
me.
markets. And I must tell you, Rob, when I was drawing them, I really thought of you. And
Oh,
I thought of your
thank you.
workshop, your people workshop. And then I keep on thinking, you know, you're teaching me one, two, 1 to 2 or something. It's great.
Now, a lot of people know already what the 1 2 1 2 2 means. Yes, but yes, I'm glad you remember, right? Yes. Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah.
not bad, right? Right.
Yes, yes, yeah, and
So
I love that particular sketch as well, and that you've chosen to talk about this great reportage. Someone is saying, yes, this is part of the urban sketching thing that we're also doing sketch reportage. We're recording history. I mean, and wherever we are. I mean, there's so many sketches around the world who will also draw when there are protests going on because, yeah, this is it's powerful. It's moving, and when you're
you do
yeah.
quite a lot of those protest drawings too, Rob. You were like,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
showing us
I,
yes,
I, I do a few, yes. I was also out on the streets with my iPad. This
I
particular one that
remember
we've
that
got
one
up,
with the umbrellas. I
yeah,
think I
that
got
was,
lost. I got lost. I separated from you guys. It's so
yeah.
crowded, that one.
Well, yes, this was a what happened is the administrators we'd gotten together, the symposium organizing team, we got together, and after our meeting, because the protests were like right outside. I
Mm.
mean, we usually get together in my place. It's like unofficial USK HQ, and then after that we just head out because there's a park very close by, and it was full of people. It was 1 million Hong Kongers, and the population is 7.5. So that gives you an idea how many people were out on the street. It was raining, and it was incredibly moving because I mean, we were
Mm.
inching together under the umbrellas, and people were very peaceful and very patient, and all that. It was just gives me chills. I mean, such an amazing thing. Well, okay. So, I mean, protest reportage, and I'm so glad you shared that story and how I think one of the things that I really feel very strongly about also is as we're doing all this, we're also talking about the human side of things because the media is constantly about, oh, like Hong Kong's burning down and all that, but yeah, not really. I mean,
Oh,
there are isolated incidents, but the truth is that there are so many beautiful little things, and your sketches also show that. Yeah.
I saw. I like
Uh,
yours as well. You you're drawing people. You're cleaning up.
yeah.
So, what would
Yes.
you recommend people to draw when they come? If there's, well,
Okay.
obviously, I hope that Hong Kong will be like peaceful again. But
Yeah.
if they are going to record some kind of protest demonstration, what would you recommend them to draw?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, the first thing I would say is to be safe, and if you haven't done protest drawing before, stay somewhere elevated.
High up, yeah.
Yeah, high up, because one of the things about Hong Kong you'll find is, and also the other thing that some of you may not be aware of is Hong Kong, like Vanessa and I live on Hong Kong Island, but there's also a mainland section. And on Hong Kong Island, at least, there are many like walkways above street level that connect the city. So it's actually possible to be indoors, like in this glass bridge that connects buildings,
Mm-hmm.
and to be very safe from the elements and draw, because you need to be also aware of your surroundings, and you have to make sure that you're safe, that you're not going to get caught up in something that happens. Do you have any tips for protest reportage, Vanessa?
I like to, I can't really draw people very well, not as good as you, but for protests, you can't afford people. So what I usually do is use a lot of colors, a lot of colors, because
Mm,
people wear different clothes, they have different hair
hmm.
colors, and they all, um, bring out their banners. So what I do is just add a lot of colors, make it as
Yeah.
as
Full.
vibrant as
Just, yeah.
possible, and to show them what it's like. But
Mm.
if you look clearly, I didn't really draw every person in
Well,
details. It's
yeah.
just like dots, 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 dots,
Yeah.
colors,
Well,
colors, colors, and banners,
yeah.
banners.
Yeah, and that's very much part of also sketching quickly and all that.
Hmm.
It's how little you can do to give a suggestion of the situation. So sometimes, like a crowd in the distance is dot 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 dot, and that gives you that impression already. And if you like drawing people, then you can get into the details. Like over here, there were so many people who were like right now, what I'm putting up is one of my iPad drawings of the volunteer medics who were
Mm.
resting in the MTR station, which is our metro. So they were resting on the floor and like getting ready to go out and help people and all that. And it was food and drinks and all that. So I mean, it was I'm always constantly touched by how the Hong Kong people, the community comes together to help and volunteer. And even if
Mm.
they don't know you, they're there to help you. It's
Yeah,
incredibly
that's very
amazing.
nice.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. Well, let's see. What app do you use for iPad drawings? Procreate. Procreate. Yeah. So, well, at some point, we hope that the protests will die down. We hope that the
Hmm.
pandemic will be over,
Hmm.
and we can look at possibly asking the USK board to see whether we can possibly host a symposium at some point in the future. We will be back.
I'm
We'll be
sure we will
back.
be back, yes.
We'll be back. We'll be back. So, Vanessa, if and when that happens, give the audience three locations, three top places that you think they should go to sketch. What would you recommend?
I would recommend markets.
Mhm. Markets. Okay.
Any markets in Hong Kong, all different districts got markets. So wherever
Yes.
you stay in, you can go to markets, and there are lots to sketch. Like this one
Hmm.
is in Mongkok. I think Rob,
Hmm.
you sketched this one too. I
Yeah.
remember you sketched this one too.
Yes,
And
I did.
because in Hong Kong there are lots
Yeah.
of markets. Look at this
We were
one.
actually that's the one we drew. Like if you put your drawing
Yes,
up, actually, we were like next to each other.
I
That's the
remember.
one that
Yes,
I.
but
Yeah, we were
look,
next to each
I like that
other.
because
Yeah.
markets in Hong Kong you can find a lot of these colorful
Mm.
canopies,
Hmm. Yeah.
striped ones, plain ones, and these are what I love in. Look at these,
Yeah.
all these
Yeah. It's.
canopies, and because these are street markets, and I think you can find a lot of things happening there, a lot of people, and
Hmm.
you can feel the vibrancy of Hong Kong. So that's one thing I would recommend people to go and sketch. And I
Okay.
think
Second.
second,
Number two. Yes. Number two. What else would
um,
you recommend? So markets
Ta
for
Tan
sure.
Tang, Ta
Ta
Tan Tang,
Tan Tang. Again.
again, and
Sorry.
shop fronts
Yeah.
as well,
Yes.
and shop
Hmm.
fronts. You can find
Ta
some
Tan Tang and
interesting,
shop
yeah,
fronts.
Ta Tan Tang
Yes.
and shop fronts. There are lots of interesting shops in
Hmm.
Hong Kong, selling
Hmm.
specialities.
Hmm.
So once I like doing different kinds of shop fronts. Like this one is selling the Chinese herbals and Chinese
Hmm.
medicine, and that you got the grocery one on top. That's the one I like as well. Because they are putting all the brooms, all the buckets, all the plastic stools.
All
They
the delicious detail.
Around. So I think these are very interesting. You need to find some interesting shop fronts in Hong Kong. And this one as well is the dried seafood store. And they hang a lot of those dried seafood and even they have but I won't mention that.
They've got all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff. Third, now, number 3, markets, shop fronts, what else? Oh, Cha Chan Tang, that's right.
And Cha Chan Tang.
Yeah, so Cha Chan Tang. So Vanessa has
these
shared.
kind of Cha Chan Tang.
Yes.
They usually have those tin huts, and then they served foods like that.
The food and the drink.
Yeah, very simple food, like sandwiches and hot milk tea.
Yeah. And you know what? Actually, Vanessa, I really like your sequence because first you go to the markets, then you go and draw some shop fronts, and then after that you chill out, you sit in the Cha Chan Tang, you draw your meal, you know, and then you choi soy with the sketches. So remember these words. Choi soy, it's the conversation. Cha Chan Tang
and remember
is
what
where
to
you're
order
gonna
in
have
Cha
tea.
Chan Tang?
Yes, yes, that's right. Barbara
Lai
Luell, Cha Chan Tang.
菠蘿包, Cha Chan Tang.
Yeah. Or you can just say pineapple bun. Everybody knows what that is. California rolls are, no, that's sushi. Well, the American sushi sort of thing. Yeah. So, Uma's got a question here that's very interesting. How do Hong Kong people stay so fit after going to market, shop fronts, and food again? I need the secret.
We need to walk a lot.
Walk a lot.
Yeah, we walk a lot.
Walk a lot.
Yeah.
We walk a lot.
Go on foot. You just walk and walk and walk.
Yeah.
So
the public transport system is
we'll come. You come over and we'll bring you and we'll walk with you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And to do like 10,000 steps is easy. It's like without even thinking, you do 10, 15,000 steps. So yes. Yeah, make sure that you do a little bit of practice before you come to Hong Kong. Okay. All right. So you've got some really, really good tips for us. Vanessa, I would like to know whether you have a challenge for our audience.
Oh, yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah. If you remember.
Now, I know because a lot of people are, staying at home now. So we cannot, you got so I don't need to post
I have your
I was
graphic for
thinking, you can't really go out a lot and you try to find something to draw at home. And usually what you do is try to find something interesting to draw, right?
Yes.
I do that as well, but this time because it's a challenge, so I want you to try to find something not interesting. Try to find a window without a view.
Yes, and make it interesting.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I
take
want,
the ordinary and make it extraordinary.
I find that I was facing this window outside, which is facing all the pipes, which is a back window. Facing all the pipes, and I find it really not interesting. I always have a blind stand. I always don't want to look at it. But one day I was so bored with my working from home, so I was just sitting here and draw that window, and it's not interesting at all. But what you would do is you draw the shadows, you draw the light coming in onto the walls, and you draw the things that you put on the side of the windows and try to make it look interesting. And I think that will come up into a very interesting sketch. So that's my challenge for you.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. It's been so good chatting with you.
And do I need to repeat in Cantonese?
Oh, yes. Yes, please. Yes. Well, let's continue
to my
our Cantonese
friend.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, please.
你哋咧今次嘅 challenge 咧就係咧要揾一樣咧揾一個窗冇乜景嘅，唔好揾啲咁有趣、咁特別嘅地方去畫啦。一定要揾啲咧你自然覺得冇興趣嘅嘢，但係咧就要將呢個你覺得好冇興趣、好唔特別嘅嘢咧，你咧就用你嘅方法去畫到佢比較豐富啲、interesting 啲，用顏色又好，加啲影又好，光線又好，同埋畫埋你個窗嘅側根嘅擺設。我覺得呢樣嘢咧 可能會 turn out 會係一個比起你平時畫開嘅畫有啲唔同添，即係唔好揾一個真係好靚嘅景色嚟畫咯，揾啲冇乜特別嘅嘢，就試下呢樣嘢 challenge 下自己。
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you for being on the show. We'll see you around.
Thank you.
And stick around. Stick around. The show is not yet over.
Bye, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick around.
Okay. Thank you again,
Vanessa. Coming next.
Yes. Okay. So we have a very interesting guest right up next, and we are going to bring up our next guest. He is, I'm very, very pleased to say that he's a really good friend of mine. And let's see, coming all the way from Florida is James Richards. Let's see, we're connecting to James now, and there he is. Hey, James. How are you, Jim? So good to see
you. Wonderful. How are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm good. It's midnight, but it feels like morning right now because, I mean, your energy is... Oh. So before we jump in, Jim, I wanted to tell the audience why I'm such a fan of yours. We met in Singapore in 2015. And for those of you who don't know the story, when I first went to the Singapore Symposium, I didn't know anyone from the international community. And I walked into the hall where there were all these people, and I was actually very shy. I'm actually very introverted and shy. So there I saw this guy in this fedora, all in white, you know, like this. I mean, he looked so cool in his white linens, and he looked over at me and he just like welcomed me and gave me a big hug, and I just melted. And I thought, wow, you know, the USK community is like this, you know, I'm hooked, I'm in. So thank you, Jim. Thank you very much.
Can I just say that you didn't know anybody there, but we knew you, buddy. You had started posting, I think, just a couple of months before that, and had actually asked, I don't know if this iPad sketch is legal on this site, please let me know.
Yeah.
And everybody saw it and it's like, oh my gosh, this is, yes. Yeah.
Please this come. Is the one that Jim's talking about. But yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, at that time, I mean, iPad sketching was so new. Wherever I was with my iPad, I mean, this was in 2014, 2013, and people would, like, the thing that I would hear all the time is, oh, what are you using? When I say it's an iPad, what? An iPad could do that? I mean, people are surprised. But yeah, and things have come a long way. Like now, like lots of people have iPads. You have an iPad, right? You started.
I do.
You started sketching with Procreate every now and then.
I do.
Dabble.
And you gave me all my helpful hints, and I'm working on it, buddy.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, I'm sure that a lot of our audience know you, Jim, but maybe you could just introduce yourself for the rare few who do not.
Yeah, well, I'm Jim Richards. I am an urban designer and landscape architect by training, and worked downtowns and cities all over the U.S. doing that work for 40 years, basically. And a large part of that work is drawing. You know, we're envisioning the future, basically. And so we would listen to cities, would get all their feedback, would hear their aspirations, and I'd draw things and say, you mean like this? You know, that type of thing, to keep the conversation moving in constructive and exciting directions. And boy, that drawing served me well in that. And part of that also was traveling to other cities and drawing when you were there, because that's how you learn your craft. You know, that's you see the best things all over the world. And about 2009, I guess, I was online and discovered Gabby's Flickr site. And it's like, oh, there's other people that are actually interested in this.
There's a name for this thing.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, can you tell us then what brought you to Hong Kong? And the reason, for our audience, the reason that Jim is on the show is because we also met in Hong Kong, like after Singapore. So, Jim, can you tell us what brought you here?
I will. You know, the other thing I did other than working and traveling was I was one of these people that had a real Jones for drawing books. And my poor, long-suffering wife, you know, they have these stacks of drawing books all over the place. Any new city we went to, I had to have a collection of sketches from that city, as well as draw a few of my own. And it seemed like all my drawing heroes had been to Hong Kong and drawn Hong Kong and drawn these iconic views. I think you've got one of Tommy Wang there. Yeah, check that guy out, man. I learned more about drawing probably from Thomas C. Wang than any other person, a landscape architect. I think he lives in Watertown, Mass now, still does consulting. And then you've got a detail of one of them coming up. Look at the people in that sketch. Look at the cars. Where do you think I got some of my shtick? You know?
There is something a little bit familiar.
He is one of the people that I emulated a lot. Yeah. I think you've got Bon Hui Lee as well. With the architectural drawings and leisure sketches. This was an architect in Hawaii. I think he may have gone back to Hawaii and started a practice there. But the cover of his book here is one of the Hong Kong markets. And, you know, I saw things like that and I said, I've just got to do this. There's no way around it. Later on, when I got interested in watercolor, I discovered Dong Kingman. And look at that, would you? Who would not have to travel around the world and take a crack at that thing? There's Batter Street, which Rob and I sketched when I was there. So I had all these influences over many years and from all over the world of people that were basically telling my psyche, you can't really call yourself a designer or an artist if you don't go to Hong Kong.
Okay. So all right. Well, you have, I mean, your book is an amazing thing. And you talk about this discovery method. Can you tell us how you apply that to Hong Kong?
Well, when I say discovery, it kind of goes back to that urban design thing that we were talking about. And before I arrive in a city, I try to do enough background research on what I call the DNA of the place, which is exactly the way I'd work with a city when I was trying to do urban design there. And it starts with the biggest scale. You know, if there's a waterfront in a city like you've got in Hong Kong, that's typically the reason that the city is there. And that's typically where the oldest parts can still be found, the old grid street networks and things like that. So I'll start with that. I'll learn about the geology so that I can see how that plays into the architecture, why the buildings look like they do, why they can be as tall as they can, these types of things. Then the street network, you know, Kowloon with all these crazy things going on up and down it. And the big double-decker buses on Pennington Street. Those are things you won't see anyplace else, or at least I've never seen anyplace else. In China, Vietnam, Japan, anywhere, not like Hong Kong. So these things that are kind of iconic to a place are what I try to understand before I go. And then it's just, you know, hacking them out one after another once I get there.
Okay. Well, I'd like to show everyone this sketch that you did of Ladder Street, because that's something that we did together, and that was also very, very special for me. Now, when I show it on the screen like this, it's actually, well, Instagram crops it real close in, but I also have the color version of that same section. Yeah, so you can see, can you tell us a little bit about how you do something like that?
Well, on that one, you know, you and I were there, and I think Paul Wang actually walked up while we were doing that to say hello. I don't remember if he stopped and sketched or not. But on something like this, I'll typically start with the people at eye level. I'll determine from a perspective standpoint where my eye level line is. I'll draw a few people moving through. And in this case, I think I drew those steps next so I could actually put people moving up those steps. And then added the sides, a few details, a few darks, that type of thing. And the black and white was a finished sketch while we were still there. And I think I put the color on back in the hotel that night. And in putting on the color, I tried to put some calligraphy on the signs. And when I posted it, I made an apology, said, I hope I don't offend anybody by my, sloppy stuff. And Alvin Wong, bless his heart, my brother, says, it just means you don't read Chinese. It's no big deal.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it takes a lot of time because, I mean, something that a lot of people don't, you may not know is I don't read Chinese as well. Yes, I live in Hong Kong. This is my home, but I grew up with English. So I can't read Chinese. So when I do my sketches, my eye is like I'm just like a photocopy machine. So I'm just tracing shapes, really.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fantastic.
so and just for interest's sake, this was my version. I mean, we're standing right next to each other. So Ladder Street also, but that was my iPad version. Now I'm going to jump to some of the work that you've done here in Hong Kong. Can you tell us about some of those places and where you would recommend sketchers to go when they come to Hong Kong?
Right. Well, this is one of the vantage points I definitely recommend. You take the tram up to the top of Victoria Peak, and there's a restaurant up there. And I was up there with 5 or 6 other people, including my wife, Patty. And while they ate pizza, I was looking out this window, just transfixed and drawing this scene. What's really interesting about it is that was about a 45-minute sketch, just to get the line work down. And as we were leaving the restaurant, if you'll go to the next sketch, I saw this view. And I said, oh my gosh, I love this. I can't go. I'm sorry, you guys have had to wait on me. Can you give me 10 minutes? Can you just give me 10 minutes? And bless their hearts, they did. And that's a 10-minute sketch as far as the
that is
e-board.
insane. That is insane. And for those of you who have been to Hong Kong, but if you haven't, the view from Victoria Peak where Jim drew, it's so chock full of detail. Like it can just, you'd be a deer in the headlights because what do I capture? So it's amazing that you could capture. I mean, just the line work, 10 minutes, and then after that, did you do the color as well in 10 minutes?
Oh yeah. Now, if you look, no, I misunderstood. The color was not during the 10 minutes. Forget about it.
Okay.
No, it's not going to happen.
Still.
But if you look closely at those buildings at the line work, that is super, super, super fast and super loose.
Wow.
But that's what I like about it.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that it looks fresh and spontaneous. So
yeah, absolutely.
Other places to sketch that you ask about, that waterfront. We'll look at a sketch of that here in a minute. Oh my gosh, look at that.
There you go.
This is one of the scenes that all my sketching heroes, had drawn versions of. And I think I finally got time to go and sketch it the last morning that we were there. And I was not going to leave without getting this. But I was shocked that it looked so different because none of these tallest buildings were there in the 1970s,
right?
Or whenever these guys drew. So I had to kind of deal with the difference in scale and how it lined up with the topography in the background and whatnot. And if I hadn't said it yet, that waterfront is the most active waterfront I've ever seen in the world. Even New York can't touch Hong Kong.
That is true.
In terms of boat traffic and that type of thing. And that was real energizing to look at and draw as well. So yes, I definitely send people out to the waterfront. I'd send them to draw the double deckers on Pennington Street. I'd send them to Kowloon. And there's a street parallel to Kowloon. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic. That's marvelous neon and that type of thing as well.
Shanghai Street, Canton Street, Fa Yun Kai. I mean, we'll make a list for you when it's time for you all to come and visit, definitely. But yeah, I'm glad you really enjoy that. I mean, there's so much about Hong Kong that is really gritty, but there is beauty in that grit as well. There's so much character and detail and all the good stuff that urban sketchers like to draw.
Well, that's very, very true. And as much as I enjoyed my career designing places for people, kind of building, shaping public space, when they're brand new, they lack something. They don't have that organic fitness and they don't have that grit. And when I was kind of researching this stuff and trying to figure out some of these subtleties, there was a reporter in Austin told me, you know, she says, when me and my millennial cadre get around a place that's too squeaky clean, too new, makes us want to throw a brick through the window. And that said a lot to me in terms of what was missing in some of that work. So yeah, the grid is what it's all about, man.
Awesome. Awesome. We can't wait to get you back here, Jim. And I can see a lot of people that I know in that thread as well. Oh, well, when the time is right, we're going to have you all over. And we can't wait to show you the town painted red, among other colors.
Let me mention about when I was there, if you don't mind. When I came to Hong Kong, I just sent out some Facebook messages that I was coming. Rob and his amazing wife, Louisa, met me, and we spent most of the day going around and seeing their Hong Kong, kind of behind the scenes stuff. And then that night, about 30 members of their local chapter came together. Vanessa's uncle owns this amazing restaurant in Hong Kong. And we just took the joint over, and the food kept coming, and the wine kept coming, and the wine kept coming, and it was a wonderful, wonderful night. And I still feel like those guys, you guys, are family. It meant so much to me.
Thank you, thank you. And again, this cements this thing that I've felt for years now, since that first meeting with you, since the first sketch walk that I attended here in Urban Sketches Hong Kong, that there is something about the urban sketching community. It is a tribe. It is a sketching family. It is incredibly powerful. And right now, in this particular time of, this pandemic situation and all that, the way we're uplifting and supporting and inspiring each other is incredibly moving. And I'm sure you've seen that as well. And by the way, please give my best to Patty. If those of you who, I think a lot of you know Patty.
Hey,
everybody. Hey. Patty's an amazing, amazing lady. Can't wait to see her again too. So, okay, we're going to do a lightning round, Jim. Lots of people want to know some of the things that you do and some of the things that you use. So first question I'm going to ask you real quick. What is your favorite tool?
My favorite tool of the moment, and I'll say that I think all of us rotate favorite tools a lot, but especially if you use ink, line, and wash like I do, is a Fude nib fountain pen. This one is by Duke, and it was actually gifted to me at a sketch walk in Texas relatively recently. And I love using it over watercolor paper because it's almost like drawing with a stick. It makes this scratchy line that would be smooth on smoother paper, but drawing with the other, it actually has this more kind of human, gritty quality to it, if you will. I also use some of these bamboo Fude nibs that so many of you guys use. That's just an absolute classic, and I'd highly recommend that. I'll use white gel pens, you know, for little highlights and things like that. And these little Uniball eye pens. This one was gifted to me by Anna Barnes in Vietnam. That's an amazing permanent ink pen.
Okay. And I'm sure lots of people also want to know, what kind of sketchbook do you use? Because you traveled so much. What do you use when you head out?
I've landed on two that I'll use a lot, and one is the first of all, we're going to have a little Italian lesson. Moleskine.
Oh,
it's not Moleskine. It's Italian. It's Moleskine, and you know, this is their big A4 watercolor album. And what I love about it is that you can put 4 sketches on a page, you can put 1 on a page, or you can do these big double page spreads that we've been looking at and have plenty of room. Here's the Ken Burns effect.
Whoa.
And have plenty of room to fit the whole thing on a page. The other is Stillman and Byrne Beta series. And what I like about it, as I found out, for one thing, the paper's great and it's durable as all heck. It's spiral bound, which means that when somebody walks up to you on the street and says, "Hey, can I buy that?" Of course. And, you know, it's durable. This is the one that I used for the Hurricane Irma sketches
Wow, I remember
that,
those.
you know, made it through the rainstorm and all that
Mhm.
good stuff during that little adventure. So those are the two that I've landed on most recently.
Okay. Well, I really like the way that you've shown a sequence, and I hear that this is something that you'd like to introduce as well and talk about with our audience today.
I would. One of the things that we love to do in the urban design field and that we actually
Hmm.
started working on in school, we called it serial vision. And it's a coin termed by a British architect named Gordon Cullen, but it's essentially storyboarding or making cartoon panels so that rather than looking at a static view of something, you're looking at views as you move through a scene. What Rob's
Mm.
showing right there is I was on a boat on the Mekong River in Vietnam, and the boat wasn't going to stop. You weren't going to have enough time to do a really elaborate sketch anywhere. So it's quick snapshots as you're going by
Mm.
these things, kind of one panel at a time. Let's see, I think
I
I've
love
got
that
one of a
idea.
college campus that,
That one?
yeah,
That's the one?
yeah,
Is that the one?
where
Okay.
on the top left, when you're walking toward an opening in the building, top right, you're approaching, bottom left, you're actually moving through that tunnel and you see a nice building behind it. And then you move through and you arrive at that building and realize that it's a social space, that there's people on the steps and all those types of things. So for a challenge, what I was thinking about was we're stuck in our houses, you know, and yet we've got routines, we've got rituals that we go through every day. I like to, you know, the first thing I'll get up and I'll go in the kitchen, pour a cup of coffee. Patty's made coffee the night before, and I'll get up a cup of coffee. I'll wind through the house, a little bit of our art collection, and I'll get to my little sacred creative space, the lanai,
Wow. Wow.
and then I'll sit down at my table and I don't draw, I write 3 pages every day.
Okay.
And which is an amazing kind of meditative discipline. And what I think would make a great challenge is that people can use this storyboard technique to capture different scenes as you move through one of these routines, whether it is something like I just described, whether it's doing laundry, whether it's you know, a combination of things, or maybe you do it through the whole day. I just am showing 4 panels here of pouring the coffee, top left, and then top right, moving through kind of the art collection and the guitars back to the lanai, bottom left, and then actually sitting down at the desk in front of my journal, which is bottom right. So you're getting, without using video, getting a sense of what that experience is in 3 dimensions. There we are. Look at that.
That's one. And then in here and the writing. Okay. I think
Right.
that's a
So
great idea.
try that on for size. See if you enjoy that. I enjoyed it so much that I think I'm going to do it a lot more. And try to tell more stories in comic book form. You know, for somebody like Swasky, no big deal. You know, he thinks that way and he illustrates like that. But for me, it was a little bit of a stretch because I'm used to static views. But this is a lot of fun. So good luck, folks.
I love the idea, and I think I'm going to do that too. And what I like is it's not going to take a whole lot of time, but you have to put some thought into it. Like, how are you going to compose it? So editing comes in, you know, how are you going to change from one scene to the other to make it interesting, and how are you going to tell that story? Again, it comes down to story. So perfect challenge. I love it. Thank you so
Good,
much, Jen.
good.
I, yeah, are you going to be going through the feed and see what people are going to be posting this week?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Okay,
Absolutely.
that's great. Because if you're going to do any of these challenges, please note this hashtag, add the hashtag and tag Jim. So maybe he can see what you've been doing and get some, you can, you know, have a little chat,
I
get some
love that.
inspiration. Yeah, oh, that would be so cool. I'm gonna check that out as well.
Good.
Wow, we're coming to the show has been 1 hour today. It's just gone too quickly. Okay, Jim. Well, I'm really sorry, but we're gonna have to end it right now. But thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you, Patty, as well. I know she's in the background. Good night. See you, Patty. Well, what time is it there in Florida right now?
It is 1 o'clock p.m.
1 p.m. Okay. Oh,
Hi,
there's Patty.
Bob.
Hi. Hi, hi. Well, okay. We'll see you around. We're looking forward to having you back in Hong Kong, and we'll see you somewhere around the world again at some
Thanks
point.
for the chat, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've just joined us not long ago, this is USK Talks, and we are on every Sunday, 4 p.m. GMT. Set your time. We have fascinating guests for next week, but that's all I'm going to tell you for now. Again, if you would like to, yeah. So if you want to take a little screenshot, that's Jim and Vanessa's Instagram handles. Go check them out. They do amazing work. And just remember as well to use the hashtags USK Talks Challenge, tag the guests that you want to look at your work, and embrace those challenges. It's so fun. Okay, so happy Easter, everyone. Happy Sunday. Have a great week ahead. It is now 1 a.m. in Hong Kong, and we're going to end for today. So I'd like you to just end by asking you to be well, stay safe, and keep on sketching. I'm going to look forward to seeing what you guys put on the feed in the coming week. See you next Sunday. Bye.